What is good, Raider Nation? It's your boy Sanjit back at it with another video. The Raiders are officially 1-0, and I'm excited as hell to talk about this, man. Uh, I'm excited, man. Absolutely excited. I hope you guys can all hear me. We'll take a second just for everybody to kind of hop in. I'm also going to pull up the stats here really quickly. Uh, you know, a little nervous at some point in this game. I'm not going to lie to you guys, man. After the Raiders scored that first touchdown on the first drive of the game, I got a little nervous because we didn't really put up a ton of, points kind of after that point. And we ended up still being able to, bounce back in the second half and 20 points by the Raiders. And truth be told, man, I think the Raiders could have, if the game from a weather perspective was not as bad as it was, and on top of that, the last drive that the Raiders had the football, we had a couple of chunk plays. We could have scored a touchdown if that was our goal. Right? Obviously, the Raiders decided that we only want to waste time and potentially get a field goal. I'm so damn excited about this, man. I don't think people recognize how hard of a game this was for the Raiders, given the fact that New England's literally other side of the country for the Las Vegas Raiders. So not only are you going super, super far, but the weather was really, really bad. And sometimes it's hard for us to be able to kind of tell how bad it is because we're watching it, 4K. The weather kind of gets, it almost kind of, it almost doesn't come through the TV. Um, I don't even know what to tell you guys, man. I'm so damn excited about this win. If you guys have comments, make sure you guys drop those comments down in the comment section below. We're gonna get into a lot of what we kind of saw. There were some things that were really good. There were some things that weren't great. There's things that kind of have to get fixed up. The offensive line was kind of all over the place. Jackson Powers Johnson had a couple of struggling plays. DJ Glaze had a couple of struggling plays. Dylan Parham. There are multiple penalties by the offensive line. And, Geno Smith bailed us out a couple times. So shout out to Geno Smith for this one. But I will say this, if you start at home week one, you're at a huge advantage as opposed to starting on the road potentially week one. That too, it's a bad weather football game, and the Raiders still pulled out a win. A year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, we're not winning this game right here, right? So, kind of what we thought coming into this game is kind of how the game ends up going. I talked about this in the video in the preview video. I talked about how the Patriots front seven is a solid front seven. And I felt like that front seven definitely made it hard for guys like Ashton Jeanty to kind of get going. And the run game struggled, right? There's no questions about it. 19 carries, 38 yards for Jeanty. That's not good enough. But you also have to look at the fact that the Patriots have a good front seven, right? Christian Barmore, Keon White, Robert Spillane out there, Harold Landry, multiple sacks. I think he has like 2-3 sacks. The tape's going to be interesting when that drops. And I'm excited for that to kind of come out because, again, I think for the Raiders, we learned a lot from this team based off this first game, but we got to go out there and actually watch the tape. The Patriots ran a couple of defensive line games, for example, early on, and the Raiders got caught. They also brought some blitzes, and the Raiders got caught on long developing type of plays. And the Patriots got home because the Raiders are designing like these long concepts, and we know that's what the Raiders are going to do this season. We saw Geno Smith just push the ball deep over and over and over again. That's what the Raiders are going to do this season, right? They're going to push the ball deep, and the Patriots blitz us. Guys don't pick up the blitzes properly, and things that you just got to kind of clean up, right? But I love the fact Geno Smith 24, 34, 362 yards. That's an incredible ass stat line right there. And obviously, Ashton Jeanty also punched it in from, I think, the 3-yard line. But we got down to the 3-yard line because Geno Smith essentially got us there, right? Michael Mayer had a phenomenal catch. And, I hope the microphone sounds good. I know over the last couple lives, people were saying that, hey, the microphone does not look good or it does not sound good. But I hope it sounds good now. So let's talk about it. Shout out to all 400 you guys that are already here, man. If you guys could hit that thumbs up button, I would really appreciate it. We got a super chat here from 80500. Shout out to you. Said Raiders did something they haven't done in years. Second half adjustments. 7 points for the Raiders in the first half. And I think Daniel Carlson missed a 58, 59-yard field goal. It could have been 10-10 going into halftime. It misses the field goal, so difficult field goal in that type of weather as well. 7-10. But in the second half, the Raiders scored 13 points, and we came out in the third quarter and we looked really, really good. And again, I'll say this again: the Raiders could have probably scored a lot more points had the Raiders not got into like this conservative mode. Um, the last two drives that the Raiders kind of had the football, they got a little conservative, right? And we win this game 20-13. I don't think it was as close, especially in the second half. Right, in the first half, it was definitely close. It was definitely in the first half, it was definitely a lot closer. In the second half, the Raiders kind of pulled away. Um, I love the fact that the Raiders made those adjustments. That first drive was really, really, really nice, and then after that, that second and third drive that the Raiders had, they struggled a little bit. The fourth drive, we did get into field goal range, but we ended up missing this field goal. Let's get into some of your guys' comments. I want to know your guys' thoughts on this game. Make sure you guys drop a comment down below. I'm gonna try to get into as many of these comments as we can get into. Any news on Bowers? So obviously he ended up pulling his hamstring at some point, or at least that's kind of where he was reaching. I hope he's okay. Honestly, I think Brock Bowers' play that he made in I think it was the third quarter, a 38-yard pass. All right, just a super simple route. It was a really, really nicely designed play because you're running these verticals concepts with, I think it was Tucker and Michael Mayer that were right there next to him. These guys kind of run deep, and you get that natural pick for Brock Bowers. He hits it for 38 yards, but I think that's probably the play he ended up getting hurt on. And we'll probably get an update here soon. I hope it's not like a long-term type of injury, because I don't think he played after he came out late in the fourth quarter. But that play right there that Brock Bowers made flipped this game. And we talked about this in the preview, right? And just generally speaking, I think most of us kind of understand this. It's kind of crazy to think this, but the Raiders, we're a team that can on any given play just hit it for huge yards. And we got that from Brock Bowers. Obviously, Jack Bech had a 23-yard catch, and that was like I don't know if it was 3rd and 20 or if it was 3rd and 10. But just guys just making plays. Trey Tucker, right? You get a 28-yard touchdown pass to Trey Tucker. It's just guys making one or two plays. Right, Trey Tucker had only 2 catches. Dante Thornton only had 2 catches. Jack Bech only had 1 catch, but those 5 plays flipped this game. And I think for the Raiders, this is the type of team we're going to get this season. We're going to get guys that are going to just make those big chunk plays on any given moment. Isaiah Paul-Amount had a huge interception off of a defensive line game that the Raiders ran. It was Maxx Crosby, and I don't know who the other guy was that was with Maxx. But you run that defensive line game, and Crosby hits Drake May right as he kind of throws it, and he throws an interception. And we go right downfield, and we put points up. Those are the plays that flip a game and flip a season for teams, right? It's just making those plays, right? One play here, one play there over the course of over the course of the game. Those plays kind of just add up, right? And I think the Raiders have a good football team, man. And we'll see as the next couple of games kind of happen. Just a really, really good overall game. Explicit G, shout out to you for the super chat. You said it's a horrible weather, East Coast, first week, all things that would cause other teams to lose the game. Great, tough win. That is 100% fact, man. Again, weather, sometimes you can't see, right? Like how bad it actually is. But sometimes they would cut to like cameras of like Mark Davis or like a on-field type of camera. And you can actually see, right? You can actually see the weather out there, right? Really, really nice game. Shout out to Cold GT. Said great team win. Calvin should have got that touchdown. Gino underthrew him. I'm not sure who Calvin is. I'm not sure who that is, but either way, man, the Raiders win the game, right? They win the game. Can't be more excited about this game right here. Gio said, good to see a coaching staff that adjusts at halftime. I can't wait till the tape comes out. I really cannot wait because we're gonna find out with like how the offensive line struggled a little bit in the first half relative to the second half. Right, I felt like the offensive line played better, specifically in pass pro. I'm pretty sure all of Geno Smith's sacks came in the first half. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure most of those sacks came in the first half. So, we'll see. And shout out to Raider Ty, who said Mike sounds good. Shout out to you. Appreciate it. Appreciate all you guys that kind of commented the same thing. Explicit G said thing that could make today better is a Broncos L. I'm not sure exactly who the Broncos are playing today, but that would make it better. That puts the Raiders and Chargers tied for first place. So really, really solid start to the season for the Raiders. Shout out to Grapal for the $5 super chat. Said, great team win today, son. Absolutely love it, man. Phenomenal, phenomenal, phenomenal win for the Las Vegas Raiders. Shout out to Grapal. Uh, Mark Jackson said the last time we had an offensive coordinator with modern ingenuity. The last time we had a hold on, you guys. Give me 1 second. I'm not sure what's happening here. By the way, if you guys don't know this, I'm using a different platform for streaming here. I was using a platform called StreamYard, and that platform is not that good. So I swapped platforms. We're using Restream now, but the comments are kind of going in and out here. So if I miss anything, I do apologize. Uh, Mark Jackson says, essentially get a modern offense coordinator here. I agree, man. 100% agree with you. One of the interesting things that I noticed with the Raiders today was uh, the things we were doing in the preseason. We weren't doing those things today, and it's not like that's surprising necessarily because Pete Carroll had already told us that, hey, we will not be showing anything in the preseason. But what the Raiders did on the offensive side today, we had those plays that were kind of designed. We had a Dante Thornton sluggo route, right? It was a fake slant deep route. That one hit for 36 yards. That was 3rd and 20. That play basically won us the game. Not that the Patriots had a high chance to win the game at the end of the game. There was like 4 minutes left, and the Raiders were in a 3rd and 20. The Patriots were in a great spot, and the Raiders did not run any sort of sluggo concept in the preseason. And they called it up exactly when they needed a key conversion on 3rd down, and it worked perfectly. Brock Bowers, I believe it was his first catch. It may have been his second catch. Brock Bowers, basically, the Raiders ran like a fake screen concept where Brock Bowers fakes like he's about to block. And I think it was Jacoby Myers that kind of went underneath him. And that corner kind of fell for it, and Brock Bowers just hits it towards the sideline. Those plays, the Raiders did not show those plays in the preseason. And again, I'm not surprised because we're obviously not going to show what we're going to do in the actual regular season in the preseason, but it seems like the offense coordinator knows what he's doing. And I feel like the Raiders haven't had that for a number of years. Even Josh McDaniels, he was a good offensive coordinator, but he was not a great offensive coordinator. John Gruden, I think, was a good offense coordinator, but the Raiders as a team and as a roster weren't that good at that point. Our defense was really, really awful. Today, the defense holds the Patriots to 13 points. And you can make the argument the defense wins this game for the Raiders, right? I know the offense did their thing, but 13 points, just you're essentially going to be ranked in the top 10 right now, right? DJ Glaze is shout out to you, Specific Nuts. Said DJ Glaze is too slow off the snap and moves like a glazed donut. His new nickname shall be Donut. I have to go back and watch the tape. This always happens. People always, and this is not a shot at anybody, but like people will have players that kind of make mistakes, right? Like maybe Jax Paris-Johnson doesn't pick up a stunt. DJ Glaze has a play where maybe he doesn't, maybe you blitz off the edge and he's not able to pick this guy up. And people will use those moments in a game and they'll say, hey, this guy sucks or this guy's slow or this guy's not a good football player. But you got to watch the tape because we got to recognize what was the offense doing on those plays, right? For example, I'll give you another example on the other side of this. Tyree Wilson had a sack today for the Raiders, but if you watch the play, Tyree Wilson didn't do anything. He did not win his block against that left tackle. Maxx Crosby came on a defensive line stunt, and Maxx Crosby almost got the quarterback. And the quarterback was running away from Maxx Crosby, and Tyree Wilson just kind of wrapped him up and brought him down. You got to watch the tape, right? And that's just kind of my point in saying this. So we'll hold judgment for DJ Glaze until I watch the tape. Tomorrow, I will do an entire film breakdown that I've kind of done in the past as well at this point, right? I will just look at every single different position. But we'll see. We'll see if DJ Glaze was truly slow. I know he had one penalty. I believe it was a holding penalty. But outside of that, I didn't feel like DJ Glaze was like really, really awful. Dylan Parham had a penalty early on in the game. Colt Miller, I felt like looked pretty good, at least from like just watching the copy of the game that we kind of watched. Let's go ahead and just get into a couple more of your guys' comments here. Mally Mal, shout out to you. Said, I'm glad Patrick Graham started blitzing more in the second half. Front four couldn't generate pressure. 100% agree with you. In the first quarter, man, we were struggling. We were 100% struggling. I was kind of worried, honestly. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. In the first half, and I apologize, you guys. This acting kind of weird on my side with the comments. So we'll get that corrected for the next live. But uh, I agree 100% with you guys, man. I think one of the things early on in the game was the defense line was not getting home. And although we got to stop, outside of the Patriots' first drive, the next three drives they had, they literally drove right downfield on us. And luckily, we stopped them to two field goals, and they even missed one of those field goals. But like the second, third, and fourth drive that the Patriots have, they literally drove right downfield on us. And I felt like the pass rush was not able to generate pressure. They're struggling. They were not able to effectively get to the quarterback. And I feel like in the second half, Patrick Graham did blitz a little bit more. And one of the things I'll also say is, you don't want to use every single play in every single, possible situation in just the first half, right? Because then in the second half, these teams can kind of make those adjustments. They can talk about certain things and they can attack certain situations. For the Raiders, for example, it worked the exact opposite, right? 7-10, we were down, and then we outscored them 13-3 the rest of the game. And that's because of those adjustments that we made. Um, we got more pressured. Another thing I noticed was Maxx Crosby. They put him on the inside, right? The Patriots have a rookie left guard. The Raiders put Maxx Crosby on that guy, and he generated pressure multiple times. He even went up against the right tackle, right guard a couple times as well. To me, the Raiders did a great job in the second half. And again, they're sending those slot guys and those type of things. So uh, I think the Raiders did a really, really good job in the second half on the defensive side. So shout out to Patrick Graham. And it was on the offense and defense, right? It was just one side. But I do feel like the defense definitely won the Raiders this game. And just overall, man, I really, 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 really think this Raiders team is so much better than what we've kind of seen over the past. I think the win was just impressive from like top down. We had struggles, of course, and that's going to kind of make this one-sided a little bit. But like Jacoby Myers, I did not think this guy would come in here and have the catches he had. 8 catches, 97 yards, right? He was phenomenal. And I hope the Raiders pay this guy, man. I've been a little critical of giving him the contract, but I mean, he looked good out there, right? And you can't deny the fact that this guy was out there making plays. He was beating guys. He was creating separation. So the Raiders have to give this guy his contract. And Emilio Flores makes a great point here. You're basically saying that Geno was phenomenal. He really only had a handful of bad passes, which is a fact. Honestly, the one interception was the only true bad pass he had. He may have had one other play, which could have been an interception. I think it was dropped. But generally speaking, Geno Smith was on fire, right? 24 of 34, 362 yards and a touchdown. And the offensive line in the first half also was not great. And the weather was terrible, right? Like, let's be honest, the weather is probably the biggest factor towards the quarterback than anyone else, right? You got the ball slippery. You can't really run away from guys as well. As an offensive line, makes it hard as well, right? When it's slippery and it's kind of wet out there. Geno had a really good game. And, early on, I felt like Geno was struggling a little bit, but they made those adjustments. And, even as the half was kind of coming to an end, when Paul got that interception, I believe it was in the second quarter. No, actually, I think he got the interception in the third quarter. But when he got that interception, it flipped, in my opinion. Like, you can feel the momentum come back to the Raiders, as opposed to when Geno Smith threw the interception. I felt like the momentum went to the Patriots. Because you just kind of saw that momentum flip back and forth, or at least to me, I kind of felt like you can kind of feel it right out there. So shout out to Isaiah Palamau for that interception. Shout out to Maxx Crosby for getting that hit as well. Raider Prophet said Yuba City Raider Palamau deserves a game ball. Shout out to you for the comment. Agree 100%, man. Palamau definitely deserves a game ball. I know you're not going to split the game ball among multiple people, but like, Geno just 362 yards. If someone can look that up, how many quarterbacks for the Raiders over the last 10 years has had 362 yards, right? Over 10 years. Think about that. It's 160 games, whatever it comes out to. I guarantee you it has not been that many quarterbacks. And Geno, in his very first real action with the Raiders, 362 yards. That's crazy to me, right? So shout out to Paul for the interception, flips the script. And then, of course, Geno Smith, 362 yards as well. And even more than that, Brock Bowers, man, that play he made was absolutely incredible. 103 yards for Brock Bowers. It didn't feel like he had 103 yards, but he definitely did have that. Uh, it's explicit. G said we're going to need pressure for our secondary. I thought linebackers specifically, Devin White looked good. Devin White did definitely make some good plays. I felt like Jamal Adams had a couple of nice pressures, right, where like he blitzed. Um, didn't really notice like Jermaine Pratt and Landon Roberts as much, but I do think Roberts got hurt. I'm not sure if he ended up coming back out there. I know he ended up going down. Didn't really notice any of the linebackers except for Devin White. And I believe it was Devin White that talked about it in maybe 2 or 3 days ago in a presser, where he basically put it out there that, hey, like Patrick Graham has me playing all three of the different positions, and on top of that, he also has me playing I think he was saying he has me playing like as like the dime linebacker as well, which kind of makes sense that White's been put into all these different positions, and the guy made a bunch of plays today, right? But again, we'll watch this tape and we'll see kind of what the Raiders linebackers look like when that time comes. Shout out to all of you guys for the super chats, man. I really do appreciate it. Always supports the channel. I don't go live enough, but this season we'll be going live hopefully after every single game, especially after every single win, right? I think the feeling's just a little bit different between all of us, when the Raiders lose, this is not great, man. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, for me at least. So DCF 530, shout out to you, Sid. Landon Roberts went out early too. His contributions were definitely going to help. I agree, man. Like, although we didn't feel him, I think in the preseason, especially in like the second game, Roberts made multiple plays against the run, and not that the Patriots like went crazy on us with running the football, but like Travion Henderson had 5 carries for 27 yards. I guess they weren't that bad. They had 60 total yards, although they had more success than us. Roberts would have potentially helped if maybe the game was a little bit closer. Patriots kind of got into a position where they got down by 2 possessions, and for some reason they punted the football with like 5 minutes left. That made no sense to me. I don't know what the hell Mike Vrabel was thinking. The score was, I think it was already 20-10, I believe already, and for some reason they decided to punt the ball. And I get it, it was 4th and 10, but that didn't make any sense to me. Brute Warrior says, our O-line is my biggest concern. I'm not going to lie to you guys, man. The O-line did not look good today, but one of the things we do have to realize is the Raiders' offensive line will get better, right? It's going to get better with time. It'll at some point start to click. We saw this last year kind of happen. The offensive line really struggled the first like 6-7 weeks, and then it started getting better and better and better. And I think this year, that'll probably happen as well. Like what we saw today, this is not going to be the offensive line in 3, 4, 5 weeks down the line, right? The guys might be the same, but these guys will be a little bit more comfortable with one another. Also, don't overlook the fact that the Patriots have a phenomenal front seven. I say this over and over and over again. And, every year teams change. So, like, the best defense is going to change from last year to this year. The best secondary will change from last year to this year. So, we don't know where the Patriots front seven will actually rank, but the talent on that front seven is incredible, right? Don't sleep on Harold Landry. He's a former first-round pick for a reason. And we kind of saw that, right? He had like 2.5, 3 sacks today. But even more than that, Christian Barmore was a phenomenal player. Keon White is a really, really good football player as well. They have Robert Spillane, who some people would say he was our second best player last year on our defense, right? And he's now with the Patriots. The Patriots have some good football players. So don't overlook the fact that, yes, the O-line struggled a little bit and it was not great, but the weather was terrible. It's not a new group necessarily, but it's a young group and they're trying to figure it out, right? You got Jackson Powers-Johnson playing right guard, right? He came into training camp as our starting center. A week into training camp, he's flipped over to right guard. And, those things are going to make a difference. DJ Glaze is a young tackle in the NFL. He's going to have to, continue to develop. And don't overlook the weather, right? I think the weather has a huge impact on offensive linemen. If you go in and it's a sunny game next week, it's just different. It's a different feel, right? So, just kind of keep that in mind. But, we will watch the tape still. And we will obviously overanalyze everything at this point, right? Tomorrow we'll get into some of these guys. People are saying, is there any updates on Brock Bowers? Any update on Bowers' knee? I believe it was the hamstring, right? Don't quote me on it, but I believe that's what I had seen. So I hope it's not a knee. Again, I believe it was a hamstring. Um, we got Janoy Kraseva saying Brable's defense is like Belichick's, sell out to stop one aspect. They sold out to stop the run, which is why Gino had a day. The Patriots were blitzing us really well in the first half, right? I felt like they got home a couple times on some blitzes, and they ran some defensive line games as well. The Raiders did a good job adjusting as well, kind of in the second half. Um, you know, I think Vrabel's a good coach, but we'll see. It's hard to judge a team after one game, right? To be 100% honest, guys, because I don't want to overhype the Raiders up, but we look good out there, man. And I still don't think the Patriots are a bad football team. Drake may look pretty good out there. I think the Patriots, I think they should have rolled with Travion Henderson more, right? Like Stevenson, their other running back, had 7 carries, while Henderson only had 5. That doesn't make sense to me. And those are your those are your 2 best running backs. You essentially are only carrying the football 12 times. Ashton Jeanty had almost 20 carries himself. We ran the ball 22 total times, right? So I think the Patriots have to do a better job calling plays. I think the Patriots are going to be a good football team, right? I do think that. So again, I think the Raiders beat a good football team, and I'm excited. The fact that we're 1-0 going into week 2, we got a very, very tough game coming up here on Monday Night Football. The Chargers are 1-0, right? They beat the Chiefs, team that just made the Super Bowl. Chargers looked really good. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Watching that game, I felt like not lying. I told myself watching the Chargers, I said, man, this might be the best team in the division right now, right? Given the success they had last season, and obviously, Harbaugh's second year, right? Second year, same scheme, same system for those guys. They looked a lot better than the Chiefs did, in my opinion. So, Barron said, "What do you think about Jeanty so far?" It's hard to say because on one end, our offensive line's getting pushed back by the Patriots defensive linemen. Multiple plays where like guys are just being stood straight up. No push by Jordan Meredith, no push by Dylan Parham, no push by Jackson Paris Johnson, no push by DJ Glaze. Guys are getting stood right up, and Ashton Jeanty doesn't even have a real chance to break out and potentially get some yards. I also don't love the fact that why are we not giving Ashton Jeanty more opportunities in space? Right, put Ashton Jeanty in the slot, put him in motion, hand him the football, and get him out onto the sideline or into space off towards the side. There are so many plays where Ashton Jeanty got the ball and he's like getting touched in the backfield. And the unfortunate thing is if you guys go look at how many broken tackles Jeanty had from this game, and I'll show the stat with you guys tomorrow when like the official number comes out. I guarantee he broke more than 10 tackles, right, or had more than 10 forced missed tackles. So although he only had 38 yards on those 19 touches, rushing specifically, I guarantee you he had a lot of positive plays or plays that could have been potentially positive if it wasn't for the blocking. So it's hard to judge a guy after one game. But I did like the fact that he broke a lot of tackles, right? I think for a running back, you got to be able to make people miss. You look at Raheem Mostert in the preseason, he wasn't able to make anyone miss. And I'm not surprised the Raiders kind of made him inactive. Like, I'm not surprised, right? So I'll hold judgment on Ashton Jeanty for now. But definitely need him to have better games as he goes forward. But that also goes kind of for the offensive linemen. They got to do a better job. Raider Prophet, shout out to you, said, personal observation of Tyree Wilson. Look, I'm going to be critical of Tyree, and I will always be critical of Tyree. It's the same way I'll be critical of like DJ Glaze, for example, just because of the fact that, there are important positions that these guys play, right? DJ Glaze was a 3rd-round pick, so I'll be a little less critical of him. But like, for example, with the guy like Tyree Wilson, we need him to be a lot better. We need him to consistently pressure the quarterback. I did not see any plays that this guy actually got to the quarterback. I know he had that one sack, but that's a cleanup sack, right? You're not going to consider that a high-quality sack. If you guys don't know this, NFL teams separate sacks out, right? They don't just say, hey, like, great job, Tyree Wilson. You wrapped up the quarterback. You got the sack. They don't care about that. They care about the win. Did you beat that left tackle? No, okay, you didn't beat that left tackle. So how did you get the sack? Well, he chased the quarterback because Maxx Crosby was the guy that actually got to the quarterback. All right, so again, we'll talk about this in tomorrow's video when I pull the clip up. Maxx Crosby beats his guy gets after Drake May. Drake May's running away from Maxx Crosby, and Tyree Wilson just kind of happened to be there. Right, so Tyree Wilson gets the sack. My personal observation is, wait until the tape comes out tomorrow. But Tyree Wilson is the player. He's the guy that we already know he kind of is, right? He's an elite run defender, phenomenal run defender. And I'm positive when I put the tape on tomorrow, Tyree against the run probably made every single play, or he did his job 100% of the time. But how was he like as a pass rusher, right? That's what matters to me. On the other side of it, right? Think about how big that play was that Malcolm Koonce made. Think about it, right? It was a 2-possession game already at that point. It was second down and maybe like second and 5, or could have been second and 10. And Malcolm Koonce beats Will Campbell, and he gets to the quarterback and he knocks the ball out. Now, the Raiders don't recover it at that point, but they basically punt the ball 2 plays later. That's a massive play right there, right? Those are the plays that impact and change a game. Maxx Crosby, the pressure where he got to the quarterback, and the quarterback threw the ball high because he took a hit right as he kind of threw it. As soon as he throws it, he takes that hit. Isaiah Polamau picks it off, right? Those are game-changing plays. And, my personal, I'll hold opinion until tomorrow, right? I'll already kind of have, that's already kind of opinionated, but I didn't see Tyree Wilson do anything like crazy. I'll check the stats really quickly on ESPN. Maybe I missed the play, but Tyree Wilson, statistically, he had 3 total tackles. He had 1 sack. He did have 2 quarterback hits. So I think one of those quarterback hits is going to count as a sack. But then he had 1 other quarterback hit. So again, we'll go back and we'll kind of watch the tape. Honestly, the only defensive lineman that really stood out to me was Maxx Crosby. Malcolm Koonce obviously had the play that he made. Outside of that, I didn't really notice him. Same with Tyree, I didn't really notice him. Adam Butler didn't really notice him. Butler did have a really tough matchup. He was going up against one of the best guards in the NFL Mike, I forget his name. I forget how to say the last name. Onawalu, I think that's how you say it. Onawanu, phenomenal football player. Also, just a quick update coming out by ABDO. He said that Brock Bowers does have a knee injury, but Brock Bowers did say that he is fine. So that's a great update right there, right? Brock Bowers, probably our best player on this team. Between him and Maxx Crosby, one of those 2 guys is the best player on this team. Brock Bowers changes this game today, right? Like, it kind of went underrated, right, or unnoticed almost too. But that 38-yard catch that he had was phenomenal. Tyler also just kind of says the same thing. Just talked to Raiders tight end Brock Bowers, and he says he is fine. Took a hit on the knee, came out to get it checked out. No concerns moving forward. That's a great update right there. Phenomenal update. Brock Bowers had that catch early on in the game, and then I felt like the Patriots kind of came out and said, hey, we're going to just double team this guy. Almost kind of how like Bill Belichick used to do, right, where he just double teams the best players. It seemed like Vrabel kind of took that approach with Brock Bowers, but then some other guys started, finding a little bit of success. And then I feel like they kind of went away from that. And then that's when Brock Bowers ended up just kind of going off, right? We got a pretty interesting comment here by Emilio. The Chargers will come in too high off the week 1 victory in Brazil. I doubt they do as good against the Raiders. I would be surprised, man. I would be surprised if the Chargers come out and they play flat. I'd be surprised if that happens. I think, Harbaugh is one of the best coaches in the NFL for a reason. He's going to have the Chargers ready to go. And this next game, man, it's an important game for both teams. Being 2-0 makes such a big difference for, the Raiders, for the Chargers, whichever team ends up winning, as opposed to being 1-1 or potentially 0-2, right? Just kind of, at 2-0, the team is like looking back and saying, hey, this is the team that we are. We're 2-0. We're a playoff caliber team. Let's go into week 3 and let's continue that streak, right? That's going to be a really, really good game. I'm excited as hell for that. Davey said Meredith and JPJ moved them back to the original position. I think at this point, the Raiders should just stick with where Jackson Powers-Johnson is. Same with Jordan Meredith. You don't really have options at this point. Once Caleb Rogers is actually ready to be your starting guard, maybe you throw him in at right guard and you put Jackson Powers-Johnson back at center. I do think JPJ is a better center than he is a guard. Not that I think he'll be a bad guard. I think if you stop moving him back and forth and you just let him be a guard, I think he'll be a great guard. But I think he'll be an even better center if you just let him be the center, right? And at this point, you can't make that move until you're 100% sure that you're 100% sure that Caleb Rogers is ready. Because if Meredith ends up going over to right guard, well, I think he would struggle a little bit more than he would at center, right? Carlos Reyes, shout out to you, man, for the $10 super chat. Absolutely appreciate it. Thanks for all the good content. You are my go-to for everything Raiders. Just win, baby. Absolutely, absolutely love that, man. I appreciate you. I really do appreciate it. Um, it's going to be an interesting week, man. I'm telling you guys right now. Will the Raiders make any adjustments going into next week? We know the Raiders have made multiple adjustments with like the safeties and the DBs, and shout out to Kai Blue Kelly, man. How phenomenal was he for the Raiders? I don't think Darren Porter got the start. I'm pretty sure it was Eric Stokes and Kai Blue Kelly. I did see Darren Porter out there, and I'm not sure if there were corner snaps or if they were like he was playing gunner as the punt guy. But shout out to Kai Blue Kelly. This guy actually looks legit. He looks like he's our best cornerback out there. I saw him multiple times just making plays. The guy had 9 tackles today, right? Kai Blue Kelly, phenomenal. And I think it's Caillou Blue Kelly. I think that's how you technically say his name. He looked phenomenal, man. Really, really, really like what I saw from him. Hopefully the Raiders can just kind of keep developing. But again, it'll be interesting to see, will the Raiders make some adjustments? And I'm talking about like releasing guys and bringing new guys in. Think about this. Amari Cooper gets brought in 2 weeks ago. Before that, Terrell Edmonds 3.5 weeks ago. Kai Blue Kelly, starting corner for the Raiders, wasn't even here at the start of camp, right? So the Raiders have been making multiple changes. I wonder if they'll make some changes as they kind of go forward. We'll see. We'll see what ends up happening. Dion Pierce said, "I'm excited for Thornton Jr. He looks confident. He does look confident, man. That catch where he's kind of falling down and like it was like a 3rd and 20 towards the end of the game. That was a phenomenal catch by Dante Thornton, man. Those kind of plays flip the game. Those kind of plays kind of flip that script. The Raiders win this game partly because of that catch by Thornton, right? It'll be interesting, once Thornton becomes super comfortable out there, it'll be interesting to see the type of player he really becomes, right? The player he develops into. John Q says, I just don't know if we should look at Jackson Powers-Johnson late hit out of bounds like an old style Raiders tough gun play or a stupid play that needs to be monitored. It's a stupid play. Stupid play. I disagree with it so much. I love physicality. I love toughness. But you can't take shots at guys where it's like very, very, very clear it's unnecessary. I want Jackson Powers-Johnson to hit people, and I'm okay with the penalty, right? They're learning lessons, right? If he's doing this like 7 years into his career, then that's a concern. But I do like the physicality, I do like the toughness, but you can't have those. Now on that play didn't matter because it was already 4th down. But if let's say there's 8 seconds left and you pick up 7 yards and you're in field goal range, but then this guy lays like a cheap hit and that takes you out of field goal range and you lose the game, now that's an issue, right? So it's just little things. I think it has to be cleaned up. You can't have this happen as you kind of go forward. We got another interesting comment here by Blue Splash. Koonce and Crosby going up against Joe Ott will be a good test. It's kind of similar to that. Your lives are essential. Appreciate that. Observation of Malcolm Koonce. I think Koonce looked good, right? He looked good. Obviously, he has the knee injury. He'll have to continue to, come back from that injury, and he has to get fully healthy, right? It's going to take him some time. I think week 5 or week 6 is when we'll actually realize that, hey, this guy's like back to form. It's going to take time. He had the one play, which was obviously great, but I want to see him make more than just one play. And he got close a couple times, right? Like I only really watched defensive linemen. I focus in on the edge players right away. And I think he looked good, right? And I know Maxx Crosby is very excited for this matchup against Joe Ott. I personally know for a fact he's very, very excited because last year in week 1, people were like, hey, Joe Ott shut down Maxx Crosby, and you guys know this about me. I work as a scout where I scout O-line and D-linemen. And one of the things you learn on the very first day of going to scouting school is what system is the guy in. And you might say, why does that matter, right? If you're a great offense tackle, you're a great offense tackle. It matters because if you're a team like the Ravens or a team like the Chargers, where you're a run-first team, you're going to run the ball 35 times a game, it makes it so much easier as an offense tackle. because even on plays where you're going to throw the ball, those offense tackles is going to be a play action pass, right? It's not just going to be, hey, let me step back into a 7-step drop, right? The Chiefs Chargers run the opposite end of plays, right? It's so much harder being a Chiefs tackle than it is a Chargers tackle. It's so much harder being a tackle for like the Bengals versus a tackle for the Ravens, right? If you're a tackle for the Ravens or for the Chargers, you're a run first team. So again, even on passing plays, they're play action passes, which means offensive linemen are jump setting. They're going forward, right? And as a defensive lineman, when that offensive lineman comes directly at you, as a defensive lineman, you think it's a run play, but really it's a pass. And again, it's a run first team, so you kind of have to play the run first anyways. And that's going to naturally slow down that pass rush anyways. And I say all that, right, because, um, people are like, hey, Joe Alt's like the greatest tackle. And they were saying that specifically right after Joe Alt had the game against Crosby, right? People were like, oh, he shut him down. But, we got to recognize, if it's a 3-step drop, if it's a 1-step drop by the quarterback, you're not getting a sack anyways as a quarterback. So if a quarterback takes 1 step and he throws it and the offensive tackle stays on top of the defensive end, that doesn't mean the offensive tackle just shut him down. The ball's out, right? It's a quick play. So, sometimes I feel like we get these narratives that kind of exist out there. And I know for a fact, Maxx Crosby's excited as hell for that game kind of coming up. Now, obviously, All is playing left tackle, so Maxx kind of lining up on the other side. Will probably not go up against him as much, but I do love what the Raiders did today, man. Did we ever see Maxx Crosby playing the 3 technique in preseason? I don't think we did, right? Let me know if we ever saw that. But I don't think. Either way, man. Let's get into a couple more of these comments. Ruben, shout out to you for the $10 super chat. Said Caillou was signed to the practice squad in 2024. Good coaches play talent on the roster. Pete doesn't care what round you're drafted. He's going to play the best guys like Thornton and Bech. I did not know Kai Blue Kelly was on this roster last year. Maybe I didn't pay too much attention to the roster last year, which I don't know. I don't remember him being here, but regardless, right, he still ended up having success, and he's our starting corner, So at the end of the day, the Raiders have a huge game coming up next week. We knew kind of coming into this game, this should have been a win for the Raiders. There's no, we were not going to not win this game, right? We were a better team than this Patriots team. We have a veteran quarterback. We have a coach that's won multiple Super Bowls, already been to multiple Super Bowls, has a winning Super Bowl, has won 10 games multiple times in his career. The Patriots have a second-year quarterback. The Patriots have a young offensive tackle, right, left tackle. They have a young coach. The Raiders should have won this game. And I know the outside factors, like it's an away game, the weather was terrible. I know that kind of goes against the Raiders. We should have won this game, and we won it, right? And I think for the Raiders, that's all you can do. You want to win 10 games. You want to make the playoffs. These are the games that you have to win because you're going to play the Chiefs. You're going to play the Chargers. You're going to have those games where it's going to be tough. But you got to beat all these other teams, right? And love the fact that the Raiders were able to kind of go out there and win this game. It's going to be an exciting game next week, man. I'm really excited for it. I hope you guys enjoyed this live. We'll definitely be going live every single week as we kind of go forward. My voice is going out because I don't go live enough. So hopefully next week that does not happen. Let me know what you guys think. Also, just want to, I'm not sure about that super chat, right? Jack said Kelly wasn't on the roster last year. I don't think he was, right? I don't know. I don't know if he was. I'm going to actually just Google that right after I get off live here. But I hope you guys all have a great day, man. Tomorrow, make sure you guys represent the Raiders, man. Wear your jerseys to work, to school, whatever it is. Represent the Raiders, man. We haven't always gotten a lot of wins and, enjoy those wins. Last year, we had about 4 wins. We already have one this year, man. So enjoy the win. And I will see you guys tomorrow with a full film breakdown where we'll look at every single, little pieces. We'll talk about the O-line. We'll talk about the sacks. That's probably the first thing we'll talk about in that video. So I hope you guys all have a great Sunday. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Watch some football and go Raiders, man.